Good evening, everybody. Madam Clerk?
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Publics Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, notice of which was sent to the record in the Star Ledger and was posted on the municipal bulletin board.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Here.
Councilmember Sims?
Here.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Here.
Mayor LaBrus?
Here. Would everybody please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we move forward, we have a presentation tonight from the Main Street Alliance. Would Jerry Lombardo and Patrice Forsman please come forward? We're going to need everybody to take a picture.
Well, I'm going to read a short statement first, Mayor.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Mayor LaBrus and Deputy Mayor Canestrino and the entire City Council. As you know, the Main Street Alliance has been working on various initiatives for the downtown. We've been advised from the beginning that a great downtown will be made up of many different components. Among the most important were residential, retail, educational, and of course, the arts. This governing body has had both the wisdom and the courage to move forward on many of these proposals, including the purchase of the site for the new Performing Arts Center and transforming the adjacent former parking lot into a beautiful park, which not only created open space for the downtown, but has an amphitheater for outdoor performances for the enjoyment of the entire community. At many of our Main Street meetings, where the costs of such projects were discussed, we considered whether the private sector, including the business community, could be counted on to make contributions to help the city defray some of the costs associated with the Performing Arts Center. And I remember being here at several meetings when the park was being discussed, where several members who speak out constantly wanted to know where the private sector was, why aren't the developers putting any money in, and rightfully so. And I had many discussions with Deputy Mayor Canestrino, and she encouraged the Main Street Alliance to reach out to the private sector to see if funds could be raised on behalf of the Performing Arts Center in Hackensack. The Main Street Alliance took the challenge very seriously, and with the help of the city and various individuals, including Fran Reiner from DMR, our downtown planner, a strong effort was made to go out to the community to raise funds. At the time, we had no idea what to expect, what the response was going to be, or even if we could raise any money at all. Well, tonight I'm here to report that the performing arts are alive and well in the city of Hackensack. The response from the private sector and the business community was overwhelming, magnificent, whatever other adjective you want to put on there, and continues even through tonight's meeting. Through tonight's date, we have raised almost $400,000 in pledges, close to $500,000, to help the city plant this seed of the performing arts in the downtown. Many of the businesses responded happily to our requests for help, and many feel as we do, when the arts succeed, we all succeed. So tonight, as chairman of the Main Street Alliance, I'd like to present the city with the first installment of almost $250,000, $220,000, which has been raised through the generosity of so many businesses and private individuals in our city. Main Street Alliance, I want to make sure, is not taking credit for this contribution. We helped raise the contribution. We're acting as a conduit. We are a nonprofit. The money was donated, and now we're turning it over to the city to help finish the Performing Arts Center, where the costs, are about $700,000 short. We hope to help them close that gap. So through the generosity of so many people in the city, and I can tell you from my personal experience, almost every business that I called, every one of my contacts, every people that I do business with in the city, nobody responded negatively. It was almost like there was a pent-up demand, and they said, wow, you're doing something with the arts in Hackensack. We want to be part of that. How much do you, Jerry, how much can we give? Should we give, what do you think is appropriate? I mean, some businesses really went over the top and gave, I know Lakeland Bank gave $25,000, which was an amazing contribution. Just to highlight some of the larger contributions, Oritani Bank, again, Oritani Bank was started in Hackensack. They contributed $25,000, which is, again, it's an amazing amount of money. And Sarah Supermarkets, who's very generous and gets hit for every possible donation there is out there, he contributed $50,000, 25 of which we've received so far, and 25 we'll get after the first of the year. Many of the law firms in town, very, very generous. I can't tell you that almost everybody that I called was generous to the arts and want to see success in the downtown. So we're very happy and proud to make this presentation tonight. We have another almost $180,000 in pledged money, and I guarantee you I'm going to collect the rest of the pledged money and turn it over to the city. So tonight, if Patrice will come up, we'll get a little picture of this check, and I'll give Mr. Trost the real check. There it is.
Council, let's go. Let's take a picture. You want him to come up here because you can just stand? Why don't you guys stand in front of us with the check? All right?
Thank you, thank you. It worked. It worked. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you guys leave, I'd like to speak. Absolutely, we'll hold on to that. See if they cash it. Thank you. Mr. Lombardo, on behalf of the city council and the entire city, it was a great event that night. The night was a wonderful night, with some great entertainment, everybody, and it's how, how Hackensack should be. The arts are coming back to Hackensack. It was a wonderful thing, and hopefully we have this building up and running at the beginning of 2017. Again, all your help and the partnership, I can't say enough about you guys. It's been a wonderful partnership, and it's working out great, and the city really appreciates this help that you've given us, because without it, it wouldn't be happening. So thanks again, I appreciate it.
We appreciate being able to work with you guys and the vision and the courage that you've had to move things forward. Even in a time where money is very difficult, we have statistics that every dollar spent on the arts, the city gets back tenfold. So we're optimistic, and we're hopefully that the Arts Center is going to be a great part of the new downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, back to business, moving forward. Let's have the approval of the minutes for the cow and the regular minutes of June 14th. I think you were absent, Mr. Sims, so. Need a
I'll
motion?
Offer. Second?
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Mr. City Manager?
This is the city manager's report for the June 28th, 2016 meeting. The first item is, believe it or not, next week is the 4th of July. We have a concert at Fashini Park. We have events going on all day long at Fashini Park. The fireworks display starts at 9:15. But if you come that late, you're probably going to have a place to park, so why don't you come early? The Infernos go on at 7:30 p.m. Enjoy a time in the park, enjoy with your family and friends, and have a good time. Our website has our summer concert schedule. The first two concerts are after July 4th is July 12th, where there is a group called Beatlemania. If you love the Beatles, they will sing just like the Beatles. Maybe even look like them too. On July the 19th is a group called the New Beginnings. That is a Chicago tribute band. If you like brass, I've heard these people. The brass is unbelievable. The sound in the green is going to be very full and really, really nice. So, and take advantage of that. The concerts start at the green at 7 p.m. So please come out. I spent at the COW a lot of time talking about the redevelopment items that are on the agenda this evening. To make it shorter and more concise, I'm going to turn it over to our counsel that helps us redevelopment. Brian, can you fill in the public on the resolutions and the introductions that we're going to be doing this evening?
Sure, and I'm just going to borrow the councilwoman's mic here since mine's not working. Thanks. There's a number of redevelopment-related resolutions and ordinances on for introduction this evening. First is a resolution designating and authorizing a redevelopment agreement with Brickyard Urban Renewal in relation to 18 East Camden Street, which is the former Oritani Field Club property, which has been acquired by that redeveloper as we speak tonight.
What resolution is that?
This is Resolution 23816. Resolution 23916 is a resolution that would formally designate the redeveloper and authorize a redevelopment agreement with Meridia on Main Street Urban Renewal in relation to 240 Main Street. And then for both of these projects, there's ordinances on for introduction in relation to 18 East Camden Street, ordinance number 27-2016, authorizing 30-year tax exemption for market rate rental apartment project. That's at the 18 East Camden Street project. And then ordinance number 28-2016 for 15-year tax exemption for market rate residential apartment and some retail components at 240 Main Street property. In relation to, these are the two most significant items collectively on the agenda tonight. And just to go over some of the top line details on these projects, I'll start with 240 Main Street. 240 Main Street is approximately $18 million project for the development of 106 rental apartment units plus some smaller retail components and parking with the project. That property is currently an exempt property generating zero tax revenue. It's estimated that in the first year of the proposed pilot agreement that would generate approximately $230,000 of revenue and anticipated fees of $679,000. This will be one of the first projects that will also be paying approximately $110,000 under the city's PILOP ordinance. The second project, which is a far larger project, 18 East Camden Street, the Oritani Field Club property, is approximately a $70 million project, which currently generates about $56,000 in tax revenue in that property, which in the first year of the pilot would generate an estimated $703,000 of revenue. The anticipated fees in that project are approximately $1 million, and that pilot term is proposed to be a 30-year term, and that project consists of 254 apartment units plus parking on site, which is actually in excess of the requirements under the redevelopment plan for that site, so we'll have extra parking there. And both of the project on 240 Main is estimated to produce about 100 local construction jobs, and 18 East Camden about 175 construction jobs. The 240 Main project's estimated to produce 12 permanent jobs, and 18 East Camden about 10 permanent jobs. Looking at the overall picture of these two proposed projects and the three that have been approved, starting with State Street, 150 Main, and 210 Main, to date, collectively, all these projects, including the two proposed on tonight's agenda, total about $250 million of total capital investment in the city. Total a net increase of nearly $2 million in revenue to the city once those pilots come online, and anticipated fees approaching $4 million, in excess of 1,000 construction jobs, and actually in excess of 1,100 construction jobs and 41 permanent jobs. So the impact of these as they come online will be significant, and more significant than anything seen in many years in the city. A couple other items are, that are on the agenda this evening as well, that are redevelopment related, are the resolution authorizing the issuance for request for proposal for the redevelopment of city-owned Lot C, which is already a designated redevelopment area and already has a redevelopment plan in place. This is a lot where we had to clear a lot of the title, as in T-I-T-L-E, and title, T-I-D-A-L. We're next Wednesday, the Tidelands Commission at the DEP will be endorsing the final instruments to clear any state title claims on this property, which will allow the city to go out to RFP. So this resolution this evening would authorize the final preparation and issuance of that RFP, which will become public upon issuance, seeking proposals from redevelopers to redevelop that property, including the provision of a public parking facility there of a minimum of 200 parking spaces to replace the spaces that on the lot that are there today. Additionally, there are two other resolutions authorizing and requesting the planning board to undertake preliminary redevelopment investigations, one of which is a property on Anderson Street, a number of properties on Anderson Street for non-condemnation purposes near the train station there. And then the other parcel is block 408, which is Main and Ward Street is the cross intersection of that site, seeking to investigate those properties in block 408 for non-condemnation redevelopment purposes. And those are all the redevelopment related items on this evening's agenda.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor, that concludes the manager's report.
Okay. Moving forward. You ready, Mrs. Clerk?
Yep.
Ready?
Big pile.
Resolution 235-16.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 24-2016, an ordinance amending Part 2 entitled General Legislation, Chapter 52 entitled Animals, banning the sale of dogs and cats from pet shops. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
Need a motion to open to the public, please.
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Aye. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Anybody who'd like to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only, please come forward. Seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
The motion to approve.
Need a motion to approve the ordinance, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey that ordinance number 24-2016 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 236-16.
This is a resolution for final adoption of ordinance number 25-2016, an ordinance amending Part 1 entitled Administrative Legislation, Chapter 13A, entitled Condominium and Cooperative Unit Owners Advisory Board, Section 2 entitled Terms and Compensation. This ordinance has been advertised pursuant to law and now calls for a public hearing.
May I have a motion, please? Open to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. A motion to adopt? I'm sorry, anybody who'd like to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only, please come forward.
Yeah, but I don't understand it,
Which part don't you understand, Mr. Nix?
all of it. Administration, legislation, chapter 12 entitled Condominium.
you have a specific question, or?
what is it about?
This is about time limits on the condominium and cooperative advisory board, on their length of their terms.
That's it?
That's it.
How many people are on the board?
How many altogether?
15?
15?
15? They're all-
Approximately.
And what power do they have?
Well, they're an advisory board, so they have no, from all the condominiums and condos that are involved, there's board members from scattered buildings that are on the board, and they meet, and
Why do we even have such a board? I mean, there's no property owners board.
because they're a large part of our community, and we feel they need to be heard, so
Yeah, but
therefore they have a board.
I think single-family houses are a bigger part of the community.
Yeah, it's a little
And
different.
I don't understand why we have a board for one group of people and not another. I mean, I've never seen them except complain about taxes. And when you see their tax appeals, it's always they're the big guns up there. I've never seen, I've only heard them gripe and cause problems. We had a project over the railroad track that would have been enormous for this city. And
The condo and co-op board and the people from Prospect, mostly on Prospect Avenue, are very instrumental in helping to defeat the
Well, I think
24-story LTAC building from going up, and also very instrumental in stopping the recent medical waste facility that they were trying to put in on Prospect.
I question those defeats because you could stop the 24, you could put up a 34. So I really don't, their purpose is nice for them, but I don't even know why we need them. And if we do need them, maybe we need someone to represent the property owners. I mean, they have more power than the property owners.
Well, they're an advisory board, Mr. Nix. They don't have any power per se, like the same as the other boards in the city that are advisory.
Well, totally, I think it should be disbanded.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public like to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only? None, seeing none, motion to close to the public.
Nobody for. One against.
Motion to close to the public.
Offer.
Up, down.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Motion to adopt.
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Hackensack County of Bergen and the State of New Jersey that ordinance number 25-2016 has passed its second and final reading and is hereby adopted.
Thank you. Resolution 237-16.
This is a resolution for the introduction of ordinance number 26, 2016, an ordinance amending Part 2 entitled General Legislation, Chapter 170 entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the City of Hackensack Municipal Code to amend Section 51 entitled Schedule 2, No Parking Certain Hours.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 26-2016 is introduced, is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on July 25th, 2016, at 8:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 238-16.
This is a resolution formally designating redeveloper and authorizing redevelopment agreement with Brickyard Urban Renewal LLC.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. No, it's a resolution. Resolution 239-16.
This is a resolution formally designating redeveloper and authorizing redevelopment agreement with Meridia on Main Urban Renewal Hackensack LLC.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Aye. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 240-16.
This is a resolution authorizing the rejecting of all bids for the Hackensack Performing Arts Center renovation project.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 241-16.
Resolution 241-16 is for the introduction of ordinance number 27-2016, an ordinance authorizing a 30-year tax exemption for a market rate rental apartment project to be constructed by Brickyard Urban Renewal, LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law, NJSA 40A:20-1 et sec.
Thank you.
Need a motion.
Resolution, need a motion, please.
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Aye. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 27-2016 is introduced, is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on July 25th, 2016 at 8:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 242-16.
Resolution 242-16 is the introduction of ordinance number 28-2016, an ordinance authorizing a 15-year tax exemption for a market rate rental apartment project to be constructed by Meridia on Main Urban Renewal Hackensack LLC, an urban renewal entity pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law NJSA 40A:20-1 et sec.
I have a motion introduced, please.
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Aye. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 28-2016 is introduced, is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on July 25th, 2016 at 8:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 243-16.
243-16 is a resolution for the introduction of ordinance number 29-2016, a bond ordinance providing for various 2016 capital improvements by and in the city of Hackensack in the county of Bergen, state of New Jersey, appropriating $980,000 therefore and authorizing the issuance of $933,320 worth of bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer. Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Aye. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 29-2016 is introduced, is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on July 25th, 2016 at 8:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 244-16.
Resolution 244-16 is a resolution for the introduction of ordinance number 30-2016, a bond ordinance amending and restating in entirety bond ordinance number 26-2015, finally adopted by the City Council of the City of Hackensack and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey on July 7th, 2015, to increase the appropriation and the authorization to amend and supplement other provisions therein.
Have a motion, sorry. Motion, please.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the above ordinance being ordinance 30-2016 as introduced is now passed on first reading, and that said ordinance shall be considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on July 25th, 2016 at 8:00 p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the regular meeting place of the City Council, and at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance, and that the city clerk be and she is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance according to law with a notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Thank you. Resolution 245-16.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hackensack authorizing the execution of a lease agreement with Hackensack University Medical Center for the air rights over 2nd Street.
Need a motion, please?
Offer.
Second.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
I recuse myself from this. Resolution 246-16.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hackensack authorizing the execution of a community host agreement with Hackensack University Medical Center for 20 Prospect Avenue.
Have a motion, please.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
I recuse myself also. Resolution 247-16.
Is a resolution authorizing the adoption of the agreement between the City of Hackensack and the Hackensack Public Safety Telecommunicators International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 1158 for the period January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2018.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 248-16.
This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Hackensack authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement with the County of Bergen for the installation of adaptive traffic signals pursuant to the New Jersey Transportation Authority Adaptive Traffic Signal Grant.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 249-16.
This is a resolution authorizing the award of contract for engineering service for the Main and State Streets two-way conversion project.
May I have a motion?
Boswell McClave Engineering.
Sorry. May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Resolution 250-16.
This is a resolution authorizing payment of bills.
May I have a motion, please?
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims? Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Before we move through the consent agenda, is there anybody need anything pulled from it? Seeing none? Go ahead.
Okay, the following items are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. Any items require expenditure are supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda, and the consent agenda items will be reflected in full in the minutes, including any exceptions and/or additions. Consent agenda consists of Resolution 251-16 through 264-16. 251-16, resolution authorizing renewal of liquor license, 2016-2017 term. 252-16 is a resolution authorizing a raffle license. Resolution 253-16 is a resolution requesting a statewide veterans treatment court program. Resolution 254-16 is a resolution authorizing the issuance of requests for qualification for professional services. Resolution 255-16, resolution authorizing issuance of requests for proposals for the redevelopment of city-owned parking lot C, Block 308.01, Lot 3. Resolution 256-16 is a resolution authorizing and requesting the planning board undertake a preliminary redevelopment investigation to determine whether the delineated area of Block 419, lots 22, 26, and 27 satisfy the criteria for designation as an area in need of redevelopment for non-condemnation purposes. That's along Anderson Street. Resolution 257-16 is a resolution authorizing and requesting the planning board undertake a preliminary redevelopment investigation to determine whether the delineated area of Block 408, lots 18, 9.01, 9. I'm sorry, is that supposed to be 9.11? Did I?
You want,
9.02.
And
Yeah, typo, sorry. And then 9, 11, 15, and 16 satisfy the criteria of designation as an area in need of redevelopment for non-condemnation purposes. That's near Main and Ward. Resolution 258-16, the resolution authorizing the city to enter into a Bergen County Trust Fund project contract for Fashini Park improvement through the open space funding. Resolution 259-16 is a resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation NJSA 40A:4-87 for the 2016 summer food program. Resolution 260-16 is a resolution requesting approval of items of revenue and appropriation NJSA 40A:4-87 for the 2016 Clean Communities Grant. Resolution 261-16 is a resolution authorizing the submission of a New Jersey DEP Office of Natural Resource Restoration for the Passaic River Restoration Project, the Newark Bay Complex Grant application. Resolution 262-16 is a resolution approving participation within the State of New Jersey 2014 Safe and Secure Communities Grant Program. Resolution 263-16 is a resolution approving participation within the State of New Jersey 2015 Safe and Secure Communities Grant Program. And Resolution 264-16 is a resolution approving participation within the State of New Jersey 2016 Safe and Secure Communities Grant Program.
thank you, Debbie.
We need a motion.
Motion to accept the consent agenda as read, please.
Offer.
Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims?
Aye.
Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Very good, thank you. Before we open to the public, I'm going to take a 5-minute bio break. Leave? Okay. All right. Before I open to the public, I'd like to read a statement. At the last city council meeting, a large number of people expressed concerns about the possibility of bringing in a private company to take over garbage collections and their duties in Hackensack. Most of these concerns focused on the potential impact on current city employees if a private vendor is hired. As your mayor, I can tell you that the city council and the administration share those very same concerns. But we also have an obligation to Hackensack taxpayers to explore the issue and to find out exactly how much money could be saved. And we want to make absolutely certain that the level of service that is currently provided is at the very least maintained and hopefully expanded. We emphasize that no decision has been made and that this is strictly a fact-finding mission to see exactly what kind of savings could be achieved. This is the absolute truth. We simply don't know if this is a worthwhile effort until we see the actual numbers. However, there have been several significant developments since the last council meeting. 2 important meetings were held last week, one with city sanitation employees who could be affected, and the other with some leading members of the clergy in our city. Deputy Mayor Kathy Canestrino and myself attended both of those meetings, and we both believe they were very constructive and very valuable. We discussed these meetings with Councilman David Sims and Mr. Battaglia, our city manager and our chief financial officer. I'm very pleased to report that we have reached an informal consensus that the jobs of all current permanent employees should be protected if the city decides to move forward with a private company. Let me be clear. If that were to happen, there would be no layoffs of any permanent employees in the city of Hackensack. All of the current sanitation workers would have the option of transferring into other city departments. No one would lose their job, their salary, or their benefits. We hope that resolving the issue of protecting our current employees will allow our administration and the taxpayers to objectively evaluate the proposals when they arrive later this summer. Let's all work together to make the best decision for our entire city. We look forward to doing exactly that. So thank you for letting me read that, ladies and gentlemen. With that, I need a motion to open to the public.
Offer.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims had to leave at 8:40. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. All right. Meeting is now open to the public. You have 5 minutes. Please give your name and address to the clerk.
Richard Salkin, Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm not sure what an informal consensus is, Mr. Mayor, and I noticed the absence of mention of Councilwoman Keeling Geddes in the powwows, so that's disturbing. You need to crunch the numbers, because Mangan's numbers are probably accurate, probably 850,000. That first contract, which of course is the bait and switch, the bait portion of what the private garbage companies are going to do for you. And if you crunch the numbers in terms of your tax rate, on the average home, it comes out to a savings of $37.50 a year. That's about $3 a month. That won't buy you a Big Mac, that won't buy you a quarter pounder. But you know what? I'll give up that hamburger to save these people's jobs. And you should end this now. You really should. Why should these loyal, dedicated, hardworking city employees, career people, have this sort of Damocles hanging over their heads for the rest of the summer? Abandon the privatization now. Follow the lead, Councilman Keeling Geddes. Now, earlier during the work session, we touched upon the resolutions now you've passed, but let's concentrate on the so-called community host agreement with Hackensack University Medical Center. There is no such agreement authorized by the laws of the state of New Jersey. And a payment in lieu of taxes has to be authorized by a specific provision of the state statutes. This does not exist. But the troubling thing here is no one did their homework. When 20 Prospect Avenue was constructed, and I believe it was the early 90s, the planning board, led by Jack Ziza, then mayor, got the hospital to agree. Please listen carefully and follow up on this. Somebody. That as a condition of the approval, the improvement, the building would have to be held by a holding company and therefore taxable for a period of 43 years. The taxes on that building, as we speak, this year, are $4.4 million. $4.4 million, and you're about, if you get through with this, if it's not challenged and set aside, going to do a payment in lieu of taxes of $3.4 million. That's $1 million a year. In 7 years, you can pay off Leo's dome. What you could do with that money is buy some new garbage trucks, which everyone's neglected for God knows how long. I mean, please, look into this. You can't do this. It's illegal. There's no such animal as a host community, not now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Good evening, Mayor. Mark
Good evening,
Stein, Hackensack. Straight to the point. Garbage trucks are a necessity. A sports dome is a luxury. Garbage trucks serve a greater good of a community, in this case, the entire city of Hackensack. The Leo Battaglia Memorial Sports Dome, as I've referred to it previously, will serve a smaller population of Hackensack with less impact on the public good. If you need to weigh the facts, buying brand new garbage trucks will yield a better return on investment at a cost much less than a multi-million-dollar climate-controlled sports dome. Yes, I've heard the argument, this is for the kids. Well, I've coached junior softball, baseball of Hackensack, junior football, and field hockey. So I know the relationship between coaches and kids and the fun that all have out on the fields. Don't kid yourself. This is being built for the aggrandizement of Leo Battaglia. I'm sure he will make sure that prime times will be taken by soccer with token times given to the other sports organizations in town. The men and women of our sanitation department know this city well and the streets. They are the extra eyes and ears in the neighborhoods. They know our residents. If there's a problem, they're probably one of the first when they're around on their routes to notice it. Where you sit, I sat for 16 consecutive years. In the early in the early 1990s, although I feel that old right now.
I'm with you, Mark, I hear you.
We reviewed this issue, and what we ultimately realized is the most important thing, that the sanitation men and women are our neighbors. They shop here, they pay taxes here, they're residents of Hackensack. I think you need to look at the past history, look at what we did back in the 90s, and reverse yourself now. It was nice to hear your statement that you've met with stakeholder groups in town. I commend you on that. Very briefly, another subject. Tax abatements on these new developments. I would hope as a school board trustee that you would sit down with us, our attorney, with your attorney. What I fear about these tax abatements right now, all the money that comes in on the pilot program goes directly to the city. My understanding is not a penny goes towards the school system. For 30 years, every student that should come out of these new developments will not be paid for by city taxes. All of that will be going into the general fund of the city. I implore you to please reach out to us on the schools. I know that Fort Lee has an agreement with their school system regarding the tax abatements, and that there are monies that then go back to the school system. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Mark McCart, Hackensack resident, labor representative for the sanitation department.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate your vow to not have layoffs, but I have to say I'm not sure that that's a genuine possibility. How you are going to create this fiscal magic where you don't lay off people, bring in better services, and still have it done cheaper, I'm just not sure how that's even possible. There's an old adage that, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, and that's starting to sound this way. It sounds like we're going to try to keep everyone happy here, and I don't see how you're going to do it. To get more to point, yesterday I came here and I hand-delivered a letter to you, Mr. Mayor, and to the council. In that letter, I asked two very specific questions. I'm going to ask them again tonight, and feel free to respond during my time. The deputy mayor made the statement that we don't need to discuss this until September, and I'm asking is this council ready to commit to having a public discussion of this September 12th at the council meeting and delaying any action on this other than the bid openings until that date?
I think the answer to that is yes, and I think we could even probably do a little better than that, is have a special meeting just for this, so that way the public doesn't have to sit through all the resolutions and ordinances that might take place at that September meeting. So I think the way to go is to have a special meeting called just for the opening of these bids and for public discussion. So put that on the record that I think that's the way to go, if that's,
It certainly would be a step in the
amicable.
right direction.
Deputy Mayor?
If I may add, If I may add, we promised when we met with the sanitation workers, we promised that we would meet with them first before we had the public meeting, so that they would have all the information before they came to the public meeting. So I think that's the only thing we'd ask.
And the
that
union
you'd
as
let-
well should be there.
Should be there.
With
That
the
is that you'd
workers.
allow us to do that first, and then I agree, I think that a special meeting that's dedicated just to this, so we can accommodate as many folks and hear as many.
Well, that gets me to my second question. Since this is a very small room,
Yes.
and I guarantee you, you will fill this room, I would ask that you commit to have it at a different venue, preferably, I'm thinking the high school, since it's centrally located, it's large. Would you commit to having it at a venue so that every citizen, every resident who wants to come can get in and not have to wait outside on the street?
I have no issue with that. We can do that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right? Thank you.
Regina DePasqua, Parker Avenue. Regarding the statement that you just read, I
Yes.
too am disturbed that Councilwoman Keeling Geddes was not included in any discussions, apparently. That it just, it seems wrong, just seems wrong to me. Also, you read that you understand you have an obligation to Hackensack taxpayers. Hackensack taxpayers are saying, we don't want this. We don't want privatization. I don't understand why it even got on the table. I said that before. It should not even be on the table. We don't want it. As far as the savings, it's same thing. I don't know how you are going to keep all the people and the benefits and save money. I don't understand how you think that could happen. The reason I think, because we've been leasing those trucks for how long? For what, $30,000 a month? That has ballooned the cost, and that was not a real good decision on those trucks, because the trucks were horrible, and that was a waste of money. That money could have bought new trucks, and we wouldn't be here. But somebody made that decision, and you know, these sanitation workers shouldn't have to pay for that mistake. And also, talking about paying for things, you're giving away money in the $1 million on the taxes per year on 20 Prospect, which is not a nonprofit because they lease out those offices. People pay, so you're not a nonprofit if you're leasing out the offices. And you're worried about a change in ownership because Hackensack joined with Meridian. It doesn't change the property if the owner, it doesn't change what it is. So I don't know how you can give away $1 million. Oh, but wait a minute, you're getting $1 million, the one before, and they're getting the air rights. So, you know, that's a wash, except with giving away all these pilots and, you know, expecting all these large payments, you know, whenever they hit, some residents are getting taxed out of their homes. I don't know, and you are going to hear, I was away for a couple of days, I came home today, that people got exorbitant tax increases with their estimated bills. I'm talking, somebody told me $5,000 for 1 quarter. That's $20,000 a year. How? And then you say you're giving the hospital $1 million here, you're giving the pilots away, but you have, let me go back to the very first thing that I said. You have an obligation to Hackensack taxpayers. I don't think you're fulfilling it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Harry Lewis. I've lived in Hackensack for 42 or 43 years, 3 or 4 years on Clinton Place, in the past 39 years on Elm Avenue. So I've seen quite a few things change. Sadly, the only thing that seems to have changed here is some of the names on the nameplates. I'm disappointed, quite frankly. I'm disappointed. What encouraged me or motivated me to come here tonight was I too got my estimated tax bill today. My recollection says that's only the second consecutive year you've done that, sent out a preliminary estimate so early when the quarter isn't due until August. And I think I understand why you do that. I'm a licensed school business administrator, so I understand budgets. I understand taxation. I understand what you have to do. You'll have a million reasons. One perhaps is we don't know what the state is going to give us yet. We can't come up with a final bill. I understand that. My quarterly tax bill, let's be specific. My quarterly tax bill, I live in a very modest home, 50 by 100, right at what you say is the average assessed value in Hackensack. So I'm about as average Joe as there can be. My quarterly bill was $2,228. And you're going to tell me not to make too much out of that because it is an estimate. Don't extrapolate, multiply by 4. I would come to $9,000. I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I will compare it to my quarterly estimate you sent me exactly 1 year ago, and I will tell you that this quarter is $196 more than it was exactly 1 year ago. Now, what concerned me even further was for the first time in several years, you actually included a letter of explanation. You did not do that in previous years. Perhaps you were embarrassed by tax increases. Perhaps you were embarrassed by poor judgments you had made that caused those tax increases. This year you did include a letter because it's apparent to me it was a little boastful, but I do think at best it's inaccurate. At worst it's erroneous and misleading. You cite for the average homeowner, that's me, a $400 tax decrease. I don't see how that's going to be possible based upon the information you've already given me. I did some mental math with the number the city manager gave about the tax rate. I multiplied that rate by my assessed value, and I got $8,400. The tax year just ended. I paid, I paid $7,800. So that means I'm projecting, with information very little, nowhere near what you have, I'm projecting a tax increase on my very modest home of $600. I'm starting to have trouble afford living in Hackensack. Boy, and that bothers me to say that. It really does. A resident was quoted in the paper at one of these meetings recently as having said, "You're spending money like drunken sailors." At least sailors get something for their money. You're spending money like Democrats. And then after you spend it, you say, where are we going to get the money from? Well, I guess we're going to have to raise taxes again. As people here complain about things you've earmarked millions of dollars for, your only explanation, at least that I read in the paper, was we're going to borrow $25 million. Your explanation was because we can. I have to pay that bill. I'm having trouble doing it. Because we can? That was your only explanation? I understand, you get a good rate. We're going to stretch it out over time. You spend too much money. Regardless of what it's being spent on, you spend too much money. It's not that you're taxing too little. You're spending simply too much money on a variety of things. You need to stop doing that. Let the dust clear, and then figure out what the city really can afford, what I can afford. Joe, taxpayer, average guy. We're having trouble doing it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Good evening, Ed Lippener, 9 Coles Avenue. My comment tonight concerns what amounts to a significant community planning issue, and that's associated with the future redevelopment of the vast former county parcel along Kinderkamack Road by Route 4, and including the whole adjoining area. This is a unique and strategically sited area serving as a key entry point and the northern gateway into Hackensack. And the quality of development and infrastructure should reflect that. For many years, this area has suffered from neglect and is now in an extremely deteriorated,
uninviting and hazardous condition. Therefore, I urge the city to undertake an in-depth and proactive initiative to leverage the redevelopment opportunities and seek to shape and transform this area. I outlined some essential components that should be examined. Look at fostering more mixed use, especially retail and commercial development. The area already has a vast abundance of multifamily residences. Work done in River Edge to revitalize the former Huffman Coos site provides a positive example of what could be done. Secondly, try to think of ways of reconfiguring and redesigning the area circulation system to promote traffic calming and a safe and inviting pedestrian environment. And thirdly, looking to create attractive streetscape with ample public amenities. And I will be forwarding, I hope to forward a more formal outline of this proposal in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Davis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
You okay, Ms. Davis?
I'm fine. Carolyn Davis, Hackensack, New Jersey. First of all, I have to say, I'm not going to dwell on it, but I'm very deeply disappointed when I read this letter that Councilwoman Geddes was not included. This is America, and even though we may not agree, everybody should be included. I voted for a second African American on that council, and I would expect that they're all included in whatever it's done. I just wanted to say that. I'm just going to briefly read this. During the discussions about the Art Center, the M&N building, the Dome, I supported them, even though my statement was, I don't know how we're going to do it, but I said I would support it. Not that I completely agreed, but because the council, it was good ideas. I know Hackensack. I've been here my whole life, 68 years. I wanted to see Main Street revitalized. I was willing to support it. But at the same time, I'm here to support our sanitation workers. I received the email last week regarding the meeting regarding the Fellowship of Black Churches. I am one of those ministers. Unfortunately, I had other religious obligations. I'm not here tonight representing that fellowship. I didn't get a chance to speak. I'm here representing myself and my own personal feelings. I was an employee of Hackensack Medical Center for 43 years. I retired in 2009 with a full pension, seniority, paid sick time. Within a few years, all of that changed. People there now don't get a pension if you're less than 20 years. Seniority does not matter. New management usually means new direction, new rules, new people. I'm here to support these sanitation workers and whatever their needs are, because in the end, it is their families, their future, their standards of living that will be affected. I am very happy with the service I get. The workers have always been polite. I personally am still against privatization, unless there is a guarantee by those bidding that their contracts will state that pensions and salaries will not be affected. That they will also state there will be a room for advancement in other departments if these sanitation workers are transferred. That their salaries and pension will remain the same if transferred. And any bidder will include in their contract that there will be no increase in services to the citizens of Hackensack. If it must be increased, not till after 5 years, and I say at least 5 years. The reason I'm saying this, if we can give apartment builders and contractors a 15-year pass and not increasing their taxes, we can work something out better for the homeowners and for the sanitation workers.
Thank you.
I'm Rich Serbo, Hackensack, Spring Valley Avenue. And I'm going to just start with a quote from Hamlet. I think it's scene 2, act 2, scene 3, and it goes, there is nothing that is good or bad except that thinking makes it so. So
let's change thinking. Let's start to zero in on the correct thinking. Let's do things to think, okay? And I want to start with Mr. What's Jerry's last name? I'm sorry.
Lombardo.
Lombardo. Mr. Lombardo was up here praising the giving by the business community, by the Main Street Alliance. Fantastic. But he never mentioned once that he would contribute to the two-way street project, which I asked the mayor about. Why doesn't the business community contribute there? Plus, there was no mention of the resident theater group in Hackensack. They were giving nothing. Why not maybe a contribution to them? They're a nonprofit. They struggle to raise funds also, okay? Let's see. I was so disappointed about the police directors who we put so much trust in, and now this sort of story again about one of your chosen employees that you raved about. You raved about him for forever, and now this. So I guess that's why his exit was sort of needed, and that's why he took off, to use some jargon or be colloquial, if I can, okay? All right, so also, Mr., what is it, Nelson, I'm sorry? Yeah, Mr. Nelson, of course, is the redevelopment attorney, correct? And you really lay that on about redevelopment. It's over the top now with redevelopment, and you never mention the giveaways. So I want you to maybe when you talk about redevelopment, balance it out with the giveaways that they're getting, instead of, just touting it as the new Disneyland. No, I don't want to hear it now. I don't want to hear it now.
You don't want to discuss facts?
Well, I don't want to hear you now. You can talk later, okay?
I'll wait.
Okay. So the giveaways. Also, I want to mention what Harry mentioned. In a certain way, that I received my tax bill with a political letter in it, because that's what it was. I mean, maybe there's a law against that? Can you send out tax bills with your political letter in there about what you're doing and how you're so great? That's ridiculous, and it's the first time I've seen it, and it's, come on, John, it was laughable.
It's not the first time it's happened in this city.
It hasn't?
It's not the first time
with
it's
the tax
happened.
bill?
I don't know with the tax bill, but I know I received a letter in the past.
I received my letter with the tax bill, okay? So you're sending out tax bills from the tax office with a letter in there that's political. You're touting yourself, hey, look, we did this.
The letter's going out, you might as well, the tax bill's going out, we put them together, so otherwise we're sending it out twice, basically. One for the letter and one for the
so
tax
you
bill.
put your propaganda in with the tax bill.
It's not propaganda, Mr. Sir.
Is that okay?
It's not propaganda.
Oh,
Go back and forth, finish your 5 minutes.
I don't, don't get scared by the word, okay? But that's what it is.
Okay.
Come on, please.
Your opinion, you're entitled.
And as for the privatization and the uproar that you started with the sanitation department, why don't you just shelve that, John? Okay, just shelve it. What's the problem? Give in to the people once in a while, because the people should have their say here. Thanks.
Richard Muller, 70 Lewis Street, Hackensack, New Jersey. I'm a taxpayer, and along with the gentleman in green, my tax bill did go up, and I'm approaching $14,000 a year. Couple things. I'm a little disturbed. I went back and looked, and I'm more than willing to pay the extra $40 for the sanitation workers to keep their jobs in my taxes per year. But I'm a little confused and disturbed when I read the bid proposal. There's absolutely nothing in there about prevailing wage. There's nothing in there about certified payrolls for prevailing wage, which is required under the state law for prevailing wage. I guess nobody's read this contract. Who wrote this contract? Who's responsible for writing this contract? The other question I have, what about background checks for these employees of this contractor? We're not really interested. We really don't care who comes into our community, do we? On the back of the garbage truck. I'm willing to pay the $40 just so I don't have anybody robbing my house off the back of the garbage truck. Mayor, council, I'm ashamed. The other thing is, from the gentleman that's in charge of the planning board over there. I would love a 15 or a 30-year tax abatement on my house if I do some improvements. Can you arrange that for me? I would really love that.
Than you're paying now, because they're all paying about 90% more than what they're paying now in taxes. So one of them's paying 0, and they're going to be paying over
30 years is a
200,000,
long time for me to be paying for that
and it
development.
escalates over time. If you want to pay
30
more,
years.
they're all
Talking
paying
to the
more.
mic.
Next, please.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
and everybody. I'm talking about I'm here to talk about the taxes. And I see a lot of mistakes that they made. I talked to the city tax assessor. He said it's too late, that you got a card in the mail. I didn't get a card in the mail. And he said at the end of the month, I went online to check. But I'd like to ask you one thing here. I'll give a 3 particular address, 345 Railroad Avenue and 166 James Street. Now, 166 James Street is what you call an irregular piece of property. Why would you be paying more for an irregular piece of property than you do for 50 by 150? And at the same time, present company accepted. Mr. Mayor, I looked at your taxes. Your taxes didn't go up or down.
No, they
And I'm
did.
paying almost as much as you, and I'm in, I consider the ghetto, right next to the railroad track.
I believe mine went up as well, Mr. Williams.
You moved it up? But
I'm moving
I don't
up.
see anywhere where it's been up or been down. And at the same time, we building, want to build stadiums and all the thing, and then you got people here without jobs or possibly that job. But if you remember, when United Jersey Bank was here and all the banks were merging, do you remember what happened then? All the banks said, if you go down South Carolina, North Carolina, we'll give you a job. You didn't have to worry about your job. When they got down there, they told everybody that after they sold their homes here and they got there, oh, you know, we're paying you too much. We can get 2 people here to do your job. And that's what they did. All the people that moved from here had to come back and they had nowhere to stay. And what I'm saying, you're saying you're gonna find a place for the garbage workers? Where? You gonna put them someplace else? But I remember when one time here, you couldn't even move the snow in Hackensack. I got 2 trucks with snow plows. I offered to move the snow to help them out. So if you get privatization, how are they gonna be all over the city of Hackensack? And these guys work hard. I mean, I get into it with them, but that's part of the ticket. You know, and at the same time, I don't know what these people did that did this assessment, but it is totally wrong. And I got several things here. I can show them to the city manager, or I can show them to you. It's wrong. You can't pay that much tax. And like the gentleman said before, and Regina, where I've been paying maybe $15,000, I'm paying close to $16,000 for one house now. Do you want anybody here? And all you talk about is the Main Street Alliance. What about me down in the gutter? You know, and Mr. Mayor, I got to say too, you work for the hospital. And everybody, whenever something is voted upon, everybody's gone. Mr. Battaglia is gone. Just a while ago, Mr. Sims was there, and nobody never says nay. You mean to tell me everybody agree on the same thing? It can't be. I just want to know, and I'm paying, I just can't see it. But yet still, you want to get rid of the backbones of the community. Think about the guys with the garbage. But we got new police cars, and they fly like hell. They can catch me. They got new fire trucks. Let's take care of the people that take care of us. But I don't understand, Ms. Casustrine, I looked at your taxes. They went up a little bit, but not much. But I'm wondering, no, why is it I'm paying as much tax as you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm in the ghetto?
Based on the assessment of your house, sir.
And I'm asking this, I talked to you about it the other day. Something is wrong. I got to say it may come back to haunt me, but this is the most dysfunctional council I ever seen. And I'd like to thank Ms. I don't know anything about politics that much, but I do know corruption. I do know it. I can see it. I can feel it. But y'all be talking about planting flowers. You got on Atlantic Street, you put that place over there, whatever it is, what kind of center you, art center? But you put pocket meters out there after you move all those houses. Now, if people park cars there and the road become 2 lanes, it gotta become 1 lane. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? Think about other people, Mr. Mayor. You got a job. You got a pension coming in. Some of these guys don't even have it. Give them a break. Give me a break. Back down off the taxes. Because now I'm wondering whether I can stay here or not. Thank you for your time.
Ma'am?
Good evening, panel.
Good
My
evening.
name is Rosemary Velasquez, and I am a resident of Hackensack. And I'm going to echo the sentiments of all the other homeowners here as well. We also got an increase in taxes for the year over $2,000, which I think is ridiculous. Let me bring it down. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, as far as we're coming here, actually, my husband and I, we both came here earlier today to find out the reason for the taxes being raised. We were given a runaround to the point that when my husband was asking questions, someone upstairs decided to call the cops on him because they said he was loud, he was yelling. He was very passionate about our taxes being raised. We have the right as citizens to ask about our taxes. We've been living in Hackensack for over 20 years, and it's just getting worse and worse. When we had the recession and our property tax dropped, right? Our value on a house dropped. Our taxes remained the same. There was no reassessment to bring our taxes down. So now that the home property's value is going up, our taxes go up. I think that's so unfair. I just wanted to voice my opinion and for you guys to figure out what you want to do to keep the residents here in Hackensack. Otherwise, you're going to have nothing but for sale and foreclosure houses here in Hackensack. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, Mr. Mayor. And,
Good evening, Lance.
Good evening to everyone here tonight. I just wanted to read something to you quickly. Keeping Hackensack property taxes stable and lowering taxes in the future is one of our administration's highest priorities. We are proud to announce that we have now achieved the first tax rate reduction in Hackensack in the last 10 years. So this letter that came out was disappointing. To me, it was disingenuous. Our taxes went up $2,000. $2,000. And anyone in this room, if that happened to, they would want to know why. I came to see Mr. Trost, it was in a meeting. So we called all day to try to speak to someone. They said everyone was busy, they couldn't talk, Kathy. So you know what I did? I stayed downstairs and I called upstairs, each department. They said they were busy. So then I went upstairs, they were busy doing nothing. I'm not kidding you. When I went up, they were busy doing nothing. No one was on the phone, they were not busy. That's a shame. That was just their way of knowing that the barrage of calls that came in today, that's their way of not dealing with. You need to look into that. Okay, so I tried to figure out who I should speak to. They said we should speak to the tax assessor. Went up, he was in court. His secretary told us to go to the council. The council is the one who sets the tax rate. Went up to the council, the city clerk was there. She didn't speak much. Spoke to her assistant, vented our frustration. Told her, you know, have a nice evening, God bless you. She told me to go downstairs to the tax collector, went downstairs. They were very nice. They proceeded to give us a printout. While we were there waiting, 2 officers came up, courtesy of Ms. Carlson. No. I want to tell you and tell the residents of Hackensack tonight, shame on you. Shame on you. Wait, let me finish. Shame on you.
It wasn't me.
It's okay. You don't have to tell me, but shame on whoever who did that. I'm passionate. I want to share something with you. When a person is passionate or a person is inquisitive, they're not angry. And too many times in this country, especially men, African-American men, when we voice our opinion, we are a problem. And I'm not just speaking for me, I'm speaking on behalf of my brothers. Okay? Shame. And this is modern day America. We have a right to come in. I'm not an accountant. I'm a medical professional. I don't understand tax rates. All I wanted to do was for someone to say, have a seat. Let me explain to you. You know what? That was just too easy to do. Everyone showed me disrespect. And I want everyone here to know that tonight. Shame on you. Luckily, the police officers were very polite. Officer Brown said, I was sent to you. However, you have a right, sir, to get a printout of your stuff. He was very polite. What if I escalated it? What if I was stupid? He would have escalated to a different level. Maybe that was the original plan. But I was brought up to respect police officers. Okay? So they did the job. But shame on you all to do something like that when all we wanted to do was to get a simple explanation of what your tax rate is. Shame on you. Shame on you. I'm strictly against privatizing the taxes. I lived in Teaneck. They will charge you, and then in Teaneck they charge you extra $25 to $30 to pick up anything you put out. I have a home in Teaneck, Tryon Avenue. They charge you. So I know what I'm talking about. So once they get in, they escalate the rates. Went through it. So this is from experience. I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I live here, the same thing will happen. I'm supporting my sanitation workers. I'm supporting the police officers. You can't give them a raise. You can't keep these guys' jobs. You hit me for $2,000, and all these people that are here, this culture is pervasive. It's wrong. You got to think about the people of Hackensack. You got to respect the people. We voted for you. People vote for you, you have to help your people. You're giving away money, like they said, like water. How about helping us? How about putting some money back into the budget to offset the property taxes? I can't afford this. And to add insult to injury, you call a police officer on us. That's so wrong. That's so disrespectful. That's so beneath me. I wasn't raised that way. Anyone is allowed to come to the city hall quietly, professionally, and ask a question. Amen. And if you had competent people working, I wouldn't be doing musical chairs up and down the stairs. I called Councilman Sims. I asked him. He says, the tax assessor. I went to the assessor. He said, it's you. I went to you. You said, go downstairs. He says, you play games with us. Shame on you. Shame on what's happening in Hackensack. Give me 1 more minute, sir, please. We, the people, have to stop coming up here and butting heads. It's like butting your heads against a wall. You know what you do? Change is necessary. And that's what we need to do. We need a change in Hackensack in order for the city to go forward. This is not a city in motion. This is a city that's dormant and sleeping and stagnant.
How you doing, Council? Carl Mack, Hackensack.
Good evening.
Hey, Council, pardon me if I bumble around a little bit. I put some notes together just so I don't forget no points.
You can grab the mic.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
It comes out.
Yes.
It comes out if you want to.
Nah, I'd rather...
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here today for a general question and concern about the city's position on Hackensack Sanitation Department. All right, let me grab it. All right, as you know, hundreds came out for the last council meeting to protest against the idea of going against privatized sanitation. With that being said, unfortunately, not one person was in favor for the idea. It was a lot of people was against it, and they showed their support for the sanitation department. And it leads me to question, who and why are we trying to still entertain the idea of, trying to find ways to save inside the sanitation department? And, how come we can't explore other ideas in other areas of the city to save money? Like, why are we pushing this issue so hard? At the end of the day, I truly believe as our duties, or as your duties as elected officials, is to, respond and represent the people, not just look at everything as dollars and cents, per se. Even if you could save them money, $1 or $2 in the department, I'm not going to get nobody, I'm not going to get numbers, but why are we entertaining an idea if the people are passionately telling you they don't want to look in this department? I believe, as elected officials, that's your right, to represent the people, even though your duties are to try to save money. Or if they don't want you looking at that area, why can't we figure out other ways to make the department more effective instead of trying to just cut services in the department or try to do other things in the department? With that being said, it brings back to my question more specifically. I would like, it was brought to my attention, only one councilman spoke in support of sanitation. But more specifically, I would like each council member to say where they stand on this issue. Unfortunately, one left and one here, but still, I would like that to be addressed some way, somehow. I know you're not on trial. I know you don't have to. But I'm asking, as you know, to have the decency and be dignified council members and mayor, you know, to say where you stand on this issue. You know, each have their own stance of peace. And also, too, you know, to represent a true democracy, put this up for vote to either end this now or keep entertaining it. And if you do, you know, if you do decide not to put it up for vote, I want to hear why from, you know, our council body, or why, you know, we don't want to have a democratic vote and put this up to either end it now or to keep entertaining the idea. And that's that was the main thing. And also too, like I said, I want to ask about it. Is there a resolution you could pass tonight for that, or we have to wait, or how does that work?
Nothing further could be passed tonight, Mr. Magby. We'd have to reopen the meeting, but we can do that.
All right, so let me ask you. So, not to insult you. So you saying you don't want to do it tonight?
We're not going to re-entertain opening the meeting tonight.
Okay, all right.
Because I have 60% of the council here, number one. All right?
I understand so. So for another meeting, we could probably decide to do that?
I'm sorry?
For another meeting, we'd probably decide to do that?
I would have to discuss it with the council. I would never just say that because I'm not the only one here. There's people here that would need to voice their opinion. Or people aren't here that need to voice their opinion.
Also, too, in close, it was brought to my attention that one councilwoman did speak in support of sanitation. I had left early that night with the home. But I want to say, as a sanitation employee, you have my appreciation for, you know, for your support in sanitation. And as a man, you have my respect for your courage to speak up and speak out so loudly. And I'm gonna say this, as a conscious voter, you will have my vote if you decide to run again.
Cassine Gaines, I'll take this out. Cassine Gaines, Hackensack, Team Hackensack. I know a number of people have voiced this, but, and I wasn't planning on speaking, but I had to get up, about the letter, the statement that you wrote. Councilwoman, did the mayor make an attempt to get a hold of you to discuss this issue with you?
No, I wasn't contacted about this. I read it in the paper.
And to me, that's actually unbelievable, because Councilwoman Keeling Geddes is not difficult to get a hold of. She's here. There are two other council people that you made efforts to get a hold of who were not at your meeting, who aren't here. Leo Battaglia is not here. Dave Sims hasn't been here to hear the public for the last 3 meetings. He had a very specific 8:40 appointment today, which I think is unbelievable, which I think is a complete denial of his duty as a council person to not be here. You shouldn't have council people that have to hear the public on TV, on YouTube, that have to hear about council affairs in the newspaper. I think that is a complete disregard for people that we voted for. The citizens voted for these people to do a job. And to not be here or to not reach out to them, I think is completely unbelievable. I had to get out of my seat because there were 2 things that I could not believe happened while I was sitting here. The first is that I could not believe that as Mr. Serbo was talking, and he said, I received a political letter, and I can't believe that has happened, your response was, it's not the first time that's happened. I actually can't believe that. And you can go back and you can go back and you can watch the tape. That is what you said. He said, I can't believe I received a political letter with my tax statement, and you said, not the first one to do it. Well, I had a mailing going out. I guess I just slipped a letter in. That is unbelievable. I can't believe that our tax dollars were spent on you sending out what you just said is a political letter with a tax statement. That is unreal. The other thing I can't believe, actually, is that it seems like no one got a tax break. You didn't even get a tax break. Everyone here got up and said, I received a letter telling me I saved $400, and no one did. Not even you. It's unbelievable. Now, this is the John LaBrosse math that we have all come to expect. And that's why we don't trust you with your sanitation promises. That's why. Because we have gotten very accustomed to being told one thing from letters, on TV, in statements, and then seeing something else play out. We are done. I have to say, you have done a fantastic job with this council uniting the citizens of Hackensack. We are all united against this council and against this plan. I just want to remind you, for next time, to reach out to people that you have dissenting opinions with. Because it wasn't that long ago that you were the lone voice on a council. You have that seat now. So I'd be careful with an election coming up about leaving people out and not listening to a room full of people that are expressing something to you. We do not want this deal. We do not believe it. We have no confidence in you. And we have 4 years of reasons why. Thank you.
My name is Margot Cooper. I am a resident of Hackensack. To the mayor, city council,
Ma'am?
the privatization issue should be null and void. I don't want to be redundant, and I do believe that most of the citizens of this town feel that this is not written in stone. It's more than clear that the town does not want this to proceed. So therefore, I do believe as taxpayers and citizens of Hackensack, we should be listened to. I do not know how this all came about originally, but when you have a whole town that is saying to you, no, do not do this, I think the council should listen to us because we do have a voice, we pay taxes in this town, and we are citizens of the United States, and we are citizens of Hackensack. Therefore, I think this issue should be taken off the table completely, ASAP, and we need to move on to something that is more important. We do not want to lose our workers at all. They live in Hackensack. I've spoken to several of them. They love their town. We respect them. They respect us. They do their job. A lot of times they go beyond the call of duty. So therefore, they have expenses to pay, taxes to pay, children to send to school. We cannot do something underhanded to them. It's wrong, and each of us would not want this to be done to us. Therefore, as I stated a moment ago, we need to take this off the table. Don't bring it back. I don't know whose idea it was, but it's no good for Hackensack. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Prospect Ave, Hackensack.
Coley, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Now you need to raise the mic.
Raise the mic. The two people that I really like to have my statements towards do not seem to be here tonight. Mr. Battaglia, he doped out. Mr. Sims, he comes and goes when he likes. But in regards to sanitation, I recommended a while ago, I'm back up. 2 years ago, Mr. Battaglia and Mr. Sims, the two of them, decided to become the city inspectors for sanitation and DPW employees. Over the course of time, he has mentioned numerous times, he's on top of the sanitation. All the trucks are now working. He's got his mechanics are working full time. Everything is going good. Now I'm told the trucks are all crap. And now, to save money, we're going to get rid of the employees. But we had $24 million for the children. It's nice that when these city employees are out of work, they will have a wonderful place to go splishy splashy, and their children can go down to the Hackensack Madison Square to play basketball. What a shame. It's unbelievable. For just $2 million, we could have bought brand new trucks and kept our good working employees. And all we're talking about is getting a contract to pick up garbage. Now it's going to be grass clipping time. Will they take the same garbage cans as we use? They're not going to hire the employees because what the bid is means they have enough equipment and enough manpower to do Hackensack. They do not need our men. And to find 33 places for men to work somewhere else in Hackensack, again, that's that magical way of saying it's a deficit, but it ain't costing you nothing because we have the deficit that we can spend more than this and that to save money, 24 million. Soon comes leaf pickup, tree pickup, snow removal. Where's these private guys gonna do all that, except unless they're gonna charge separately for each one of those functions? You can't get a good garbage man anywheres in the world to start at our wonderful salary of $28,000 that we pay ours. And I don't know what they make after 9 years because they don't have step raises. They're gonna get that 1% raise each year, so maybe after 9 years, what does that come out? They get, what, $5,000 more? 10,000? No. Less. Oh, I'm sorry, less. So what a deal. And I hope when the city lets these poor employees go, they all get the Mr. Battaglia's wife deal of $20,000 bonus. Now, parking lot C is a 535 spot parking lot. We run the 4th of July down there, and with that equipment and whatever construction doing in the middle of the lot, you're right, get there early, because next year there ain't gonna be a parking lot there. Only 200 spaces will be set aside for the city. I don't know a city anywhere in the world that gives up parking for nothing. Ridgewood wants more parking, New York wants parking, everybody wants parking, except we can give it away. The Oritani Field Club, I don't know why it's not on the historical site, but I guess it's not really that important. Other towns save historical things. We're gonna tear ours down. And that building has history going way back to Weissmuller, to the Giants, when the Yankees, when they used to come over here and play when the ball field was there. They had a yachting club over there. We'll cut that property in half, was River Street. I don't know where it's, and I was also told by another source, we're still gonna bond another $28 million to complete the soccer dome and the basketball courts. Because all that is paying for is the initial building, not the completion of the interior. I don't know where this is coming from. I hope it's not true. But I know $6,000 ain't enough money for a soccer dome. I don't see how it's gonna pay for the air conditioning. I don't see how it's gonna pay for the bathrooms, bleachers, and there's no parking there. Of course, we're gonna use FDU, who one time told the police that used to park there for their pistol range, get your cars off my lot. If we don't act nice to Fairleigh Dickinson, they're gonna tell us, take all your cars and trucks and take them off our lot.
Mr. Coley, your time is up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Anthony Ziza, Maple Hill Drive. I have a question about the letter that I picked up as I walked in. Something jumped out at me, partially because it's bolded, that there will be no layoffs of permanent employees. So, Mayor, can you define permanent employee for us?
People who work full-time for the city and in the system with pension and benefits.
So what is the ratio of permanent employees to the total
I'll
workforce?
defer the exact number to the city manager.
That varies. That we do have an influx of temporary employees that come and go. They have the opportunity to be permanent, but they choose not to stay with the city. So those are the people. Those transient jobs were the ones that will not be replaced.
Right.
But anybody that has stayed, anyone that has is in the pension, anyone that is receiving health care, those are permanent employees.
So is the answer less than 100% of employees?
With sanitation, there's probably 5 or 6 employees that are transient at any given time.
So the letter is inaccurate then, because some people will be losing their jobs.
Not permanent employees, no.
But
if they're not
Some
permanent
employees will be. It seems like a semantics thing.
we use temporary employees in sanitation to fill in positions when there's people out for, whether it's an injury or whatever reason. But that's what they're used for, to my understanding.
We also increase the number when leaf pickup occurs, because then that demands more manpower.
So my second question is about these transfers that you're promising will happen. How can you guarantee that there will be enough open positions to receive, these permanent employees, not 100% of employees, but just the permanent employees?
I'll defer again to the city manager when I answer that.
There will be 19 employees that remain in sanitation that will be picking up leaves, will be picking up recyclables, will be picking up yard waste.
So how many employees are there total in sanitation?
28.
Currently, I believe there's either 28 or 30. That changes by the day sometimes.
So how can you guarantee that 100% of the employees that will be put out of that specific job will find placement elsewhere?
Because there's other open positions that we can fill.
And how can we guarantee that those people will be qualified to take those positions and that suddenly we won't find that there's a lack of qualifications?
We will then train them.
Okay. And can we have a guarantee that that training will materialize?
My idea in this, if I may, is moving some of the men into the DPW department, which has several more departments. And once you're in sanitation, you're on the truck, you're limited to moving up. If we move some guys over to DPW, right, in several departments, several different areas, whether it's, you have sewers, you have trees, you have, they do potholes, parks department, streets department, there's multiple opportunities, and there's also opportunities for advancement if they get over there. To me, I thought it was a viable, good option, all right? So, and this is not written in stone. If you read the letter, there's no decisions made. We're just, like I said, collecting data. This doesn't work out, we buy 6 new trucks and move forward. That's the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Lett, and my husband is a sanitation worker. And I just want to allow you to understand and know that the trucks that the city has aren't in very condition, even the ones that are supposed to be in good condition. In the last 4 years, my husband has hurt his arm twice. He's had 2 operations. And today and yesterday, he went to the day before, he went to the hospital to be checked, and he may have to have another operation on his other arm, because when the good trucks aren't working, they have to use the old trucks that really aren't really working, and it's really a bad condition for the guys to have to work on those trucks and they're not working. And then if there's something happens, even if it be the worker's fault or the truck's fault, it's not good. You know, for the last 4 years, I think he had his first operation 4 years ago, and they have not bought any new trucks, and they have not fixed the trucks that they have. Also, I believe it's really crazy for the city to be talking about replacing or doing what you're doing for the sanitation workers. They work very hard and they do a lot. I'm not a homeowner, but I know that the homeowners pay high taxes, and if you change that where they have privatization for the sanitation, that's putting a lot of extra money on the people that do own homes. You have to pay all those services that they're getting from the city now, individual. So I think it would behoove everybody to really think about what you're doing and how many people it affect, and are you really saving money? And as they say, I've heard a lot of people come now and before that, they're not going to be able to live here. There's a lot of people that won't be able to live here because of the taxes and different things that are changing, and it affects a lot of us minorities because everything is geared to allow others to be here and not us. You know, we see buildings, apartments being put up, but they're in the prices are too high for us, too high for me and my family. And we've been here 20 to 30 years. People that have been born and raised here are thinking about having to move because they can't afford to be here. And I'm in all for the sanitation workers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. Jason Nunnemacher.
Evening.
I'm not going to repeat anything that's been said tonight. I said what I said a couple of weeks ago. I just want to follow up on Anthony's point. I think it was Mr. Trost who said that there are openings that the 10 or 11 or 12 sanitation guys who aren't going to stay on to pick up the leaves can go into. I heard that right?
There are other positions, for instance, I can think of one where there's 3 gentlemen that work in the sewer area. We need a 4th and possibly a 5th.
Okay. If it's so important, how come those jobs aren't filled now?
Good question.
Because there are budgetary issues.
You're on tape saying that, Mayor.
There are budgetary issues.
Well, I think that's what everyone here is complaining about. There are budgetary issues. So when you just told Anthony you're going to guarantee these people moving to have a job, you can't do that. They're not budgeted for.
Their current positions are budgeted for. They'd be transferred in the same overall DPW into another unit.
But then the position can't be that important if no one's there now, filling it.
There have been people that have left.
Okay, so are those jobs posted?
We're not advertising right now. And if it's an interdepartment transfer, they don't have to be posted other than internally.
But you got this all figured out, but nothing's happening, right, in August or September to these guys?
Nothing will happen.
Mayor, the bid opening, I think that's in mid-August, if I'm not mistaken.
The letter's coming August 16th?
August
17th.
August 17th. Are the bid openings going to happen at a public meeting, or they're just going to be in the morning, the doors open where anybody can come in?
You can come in, we'll announce when the bid opening is, and you're welcome to come.
Well, why don't you do that at a public meeting, so people don't have to leave their jobs, or people...
Well, one of the reasons where we wanted to speak with sanitation before then. I mean, we wanted...
We promised them that.
But you could do it at an August public meeting. You can open the bids right at this table, and this way everybody can see it.
I don't have an issue with that. I
think there's issues with that.
Well, I'll defer. I don't, me personally,
if the bids...
they have to be open on the 17th.
I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just saying, why don't you do it at night? Call a special meeting, and people can watch you open the bids.
I would defer to both council and the city manager on whether that's feasible or not, because I don't know.
Okay, and then...
The date and the time has already been published.
Date and time's published.
Yeah.
So,
You can't republish it? I mean,
I have no idea.
2016.
I have no idea, sir.
Okay.
I would defer.
Then my last, just let me know when you want to use the high school, and we'll be more than happy to
Sure.
accommodate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Paul?
Good evening, Paul Nichols. Basically, I mean, I don't know all about this stuff, but I do know my father used to service all these garbage companies, and we used to hear matter of fact, I think we used to service Hackensacks back in the 50s, my father. But my opinion is, you know, the status of the trucks. Yeah, you might think you'd be saving some money, but I think that like big companies like you know, Waste Management and all that kind of stuff, they have ways. I remember when they tried to take over a lot of companies, and then they got you, and they have ways of finagling. So I don't know if it's a great idea. They tried it. They did it in Mawa for a long time, privatization. When I was growing up, and we always had problems with the company over there. But so that's my opinion. And you got to look at. I would think look at a lot of stuff that's going on, because you know I'm involved with the county and stuff, and there's and I'm hearing about this tax thing, and the police. I'm not really familiar with that, but you know how we're always trying to. You know, we're working on getting all the cops tasers and all that kind of stuff and training, and you know I don't totally understand yet how about their pay thing. I'm just hearing little bits about that, but you know how important emergency services and sanitation works together. I kind of agree with that. And on the county level, and state level, you got to think about these families and the residents in the sense, the whole big picture. We got 23 cents now a gallon that's been approved for gas on the gas tax. So, and that's I believe overnight. So there's going to be gas taxes. You got cutbacks in emergency assistance. They're cutting housing stuff. So, and again, the mental health services. So there's going to be the next year or so is going to be really rough. So we don't want, you know, on the town level, think of the overall picture with how it's going to affect each resident. You know, because the state is just making so many cutbacks. I don't think we can even fight the state or the feds, so we need to work together on a town level. But keep an eye on the feds and all the state cutbacks and all that stuff. It's just getting worse. So, you know, we don't want to hurt the town, you know, like micromanagement. You know what I'm talking about? Because there's going to be a lot of cutbacks, and there's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen to the middle class. I don't, I really don't know. So, you know, I support the police department and all that. We need emergency services and sanitation. You know, they got a good point that in the sense that, you know, in a snowstorm, sanitation's got to come out, and I don't know what contract would ever allow that. That's my opinion. But thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nix.
Nix. With the DPW, I would try and have the Hackensack DPW pick up all the garbage and recyclables in town, get rid of all the other contractors, cut down on noise, air pollution, and traffic. And it might be something that a lot of towns could look into. Have we thought about that?
When you say all the other contractors, I'm a little confused. When you say all the other contractors, explain what you mean.
There would only be one garbage company in the act that would service Hackensack, and that would be the Hackensack DPW.
Including commercial properties and everything.
And then we could check up on recyclables, which we don't do. Other towns, if you don't recycle, they don't pick up your garbage, Paramus. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the city of Hackensack hasn't done nothing right in 50 years. And there is definitely a lot of improvements. I haven't seen anybody that has actually shown the way in this town. Council after council, I've been to meeting after meeting, and go from president on down. Since I spent time overseas, Kennedy and Johnson were probably the last presidents we had. That was probably the last time we had a government. Since then, everything's been downhill. The politicians aren't what they used to be. They don't have the credentials. The old Eisenhower, Kennedy, they don't have the credentials. And we're in bad shape. Hackensack, third richest country and the third richest county in the nation, and we're the biggest dump. I haven't seen the three things since I've been here was when I came back, we did the high rises up to 30 stories in the 70s and the hospital. Outside of that, we haven't done anything in this town worth talking about. The buildings you have now aren't worth talking about. 10 to 20 years from now, a 14-story building is nothing. But I would consider as a program for the state, maybe for the rest of the country, because there's a lot of room, a lot of recyclables don't get separated. That's something I would look into. The other thing is the advisory committee is 15 members for the condos. What is their membership? How many people?
I think anybody that lives in a condo or co-op.
What?
I think anybody who lives in a condo or co-op can be a member.
15 people are representing what? A lot of people, or 10, or
Quite
people?
quite a few people. They represent the people in their buildings. So there's several, I don't know exactly how many buildings are represented. I'm guessing over 10.
So it's actually a political body, actually, right?
No, not really. I mean, this
I mean,
is,
when something
it
happens
was
up there.
one of the things, like I said before, it's instrumental, like going after the LTAC building. Those people
That's what I mean. Everything else you
that's
never-
kind of like what spawned it, because there was a need for it.
What?
It's kind of what spawned it, was there were a lot of people lived on Prospect were against buildings like the LTAC building and the medical waste
Prospect
facility
Avenue.
going up on Prospect Avenue,
Yeah,
yes.
anything a block off Prospect, they could care less about.
No, there's other apartment buildings
I
as
was
well,
up
or
there,
condos
I
as
cleaned-
well.
I cleaned something up there for years, and you know what? That was a Prospect Avenue people junk. I'm glad to see there's a lot of people from the Board of Ed here tonight. I was at that meeting last night. And for the town to be separate from the Board of Ed is probably another joke. I mean, you got Salkin, Stein, Nunamaker. It's just one big, this town is not being run. It's just political people that all they do is care about themselves. The Board of Ed is in shambles. Just the grounds alone are terrible. I'm going to call up property maintenance. They don't keep the high school up, but they have time to come down here at city council meetings, and all they're doing is just going to run for office or something.
Mr. Nick, your time is up, Mr. Nix.
And Macione, that's been going around since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing about that?
I would defer to the city manager. I'm not doing anything about him right now. I'm not aware that there's any
Nobody has.
violations. Anybody else from the public like to speak? Seeing none, motion to close.
Offer.
Thank you. Roll call?
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino? Aye. Councilmember Sims left. Councilmember Killen Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye.
I'd like to thank Chief Dean for being here too.
Mr. Nix, please, thank you. Go ahead, Kathy. Officers, be ready to escort this man out if he keeps it up, please. Thank you.
Just make sure the chief stays to the end. Maybe you could take that check that they got tonight, sign it over to him. He could use another 220 grand. Him and more
Go ahead,
tag-
Mrs. Canestrino.
A question that I heard a couple of times tonight from folks when talking about
Any
sanitation
chief that could be a senator.
Guys, like,
was I don't know how we can keep all of our men and save money. Well, the answer to that question is neither do we. That's what we're trying to find out. Right? We're trying to gather information and see what options are available to the city to do the best thing for our residents and the best thing for our sanitation department. The only thing that we have gone out for prices on are solid waste, rubbish removal, and white good removal. Some of the duties of the sanitation department that are prone with additional expenditures, very labor-intensive type work that results in, someone spoke about their husband having a lot of injuries. I mean, there's numbers of costs affiliated with that particular type of our sanitation work. We're still looking at maintaining a lot of the other things that folks were asking about: leaf removal, recycling, snow removal. All of those positions would stay, and those functions would stay within the sanitation department. I believe at last count the number of our permanent sanitation employees, and I believe that that's determined by our members that are part of the union and our full-time permanent employees. There were 28 of those individuals that I know of right now presently available. And the analysis that the city had done said to maintain the functions that we're going to keep requires us to have 19 of them doing those exact same jobs. Our commitment is, and has been all along, no plan that we even consider would cost any of those 28 people to leave their job or lose their job with the city, to lose their benefits with the city, to lose their years of service with the city. All of that is a primary consideration, and that must remain as is. So, okay, so what are we talking about? What's going to happen with these 9 other men? First of all, I think what we were looking at and what we spoke to the men about is offering opportunities to basically a third of the men to move into other areas within the city. I think a lot of us would agree that there's certain things we could do a better job of. Keeping our cities cleaner, maybe investing a little more time and effort in certain areas in the city, and getting the city to look as good as it possibly can. All the while offering some of our employees another path, another way. Yes, there would be required some training. Yes, a lot of it would be on-the-job training. And from what I could see on some of the faces when we spoke about that, I think there is some interest for some folks to try something different and to branch out, especially some of the younger men that were looking like, hey, maybe there is another opportunity for me in the city. So we see that as a positive thing. Is it possible? You're right, we don't know that right now. But when we get the numbers in, that's what we're going to look at. So really, there's only 2 options. There's an option: do we want to privatize solid waste rubbish, keep all of our permanent employees employed, and make the city do the best thing we can for the city, and still have it be cost effective? Is that possible? We're going to find that out. Second option, and we have a plan to do that, is we're going to buy 6 trucks. We're going to finance it over 9 years. Our CFO at one of the other meetings presented that plan, and life goes on as is. That's the decision that has to be made. And we're not going to make it in a vacuum. We're going to talk to the men again about it again when we see the numbers and we understand our options. And we're going to talk to the residents about it again, hopefully at a special meeting in September. So that's all that we talk about before we move forward with the decision. Okay, moving on to taxes. We did a reassessment this year. And everyone was notified, your property was reassessed. The way the numbers worked, it was almost perfect to the curb, where a third of the properties went down, a third of them stayed the same, and a third of them did increase. Mine was one of them that increased. And that's where the numbers fell. There were notices that went out that if you had concerns or questions about the reevaluation or the reassessment of your property, that you could set up a meeting and come into the city and discuss it, resolve it. And many, many, many folks took advantage of that. Unfortunately, that time period has elapsed. Also, unfortunately, Most people don't come to a council meeting and say, thank you for reducing my tax this year. That's not who we see. And I do feel for those that had their tax increased. My tax was increased as well. The city has been working very hard to stabilize its budget, and our CFO has made many presentations on where we are and where we plan on going. This year, the increase to the city's budget was a 2% increase, and we've been trying to get there and stay there and even move below that. That's our goal. We were happy to come in at 2% this year. The reason for the pursuit of the redevelopment, and I understand that there's questions, but the reason for the pursuit of redevelopment is to help us in that initiative. One of the only ways to help us out as a city is to bring more ratables into the city. And it's hard to be patient. I'm not patient either when it comes to this. It's hard to watch construction and us to talk about all of the dollars that are going to be coming into the city and have us not see it right now. And unfortunately, it takes a couple of years. Progress is slow, but it's happening. If you drive down Main Street, if you see what's going on, if you hear the piling, it's happening. Our Main Street is being redeveloped. And in the next couple of years, we're going to start to see the return on that investment. And that is what is going to have the biggest impact on your tax dollars. I thank everyone for coming. We are listening. We will definitely have the meeting in September. I hope it's a special meeting. We'll take advantage of the offer of the schools, if that's the largest venue we have in the city, to accommodate everyone. We will present whatever options we come up with and be open to discussion for them. Thanks to everyone who participated in fundraising for the Cultural Arts Center. That was at the beginning of the meeting, but I think it's worth noting. The Alliance and the Chamber of Commerce did a wonderful job in supporting the gala that raised almost $400,000 for our Cultural Arts Center. And I wish everyone a happy 4th of July. I hope to see all of you in Fashini Park. I think it's going to be a wonderful evening, as it always is. Have a good night and a safe trip home.
Thank you. Deb?
Mr. Trost, is it 3 trucks or 6 trucks the guys need if it works out that way?
It's 6.
It is 6, because I've had a couple of people tell me that. I don't know why they keep saying 6 trucks. It's 3 trucks we need. But
If you want my opinion, we could use more than that, and what'll happen is that'll happen over a course of time. What the city has not done in past administrations, unfortunately, and it's not uncommon in a lot of municipalities, when the budget gets tight, can we squeeze another year, another 2 years, and then it's 3 years out of the vehicles? We need a truck replacement plan, and that's what we are working on in the 5-year capital plan. It's going to take time for the sanitation to function a lot better than what it is now, is getting 6 new trucks. Now, the other issue is it does take about 9 months to get a truck. So once we decide if that's the option, it does take that long. They're not sitting in somebody's, like a car dealer. They're just not, they just don't make those. They're basically put together based on certain specifications. So there will be a time lag. In that. So it's our recommendation, if you guys go that route, you purchase a minimum of 6 trucks.
okay. Well, I don't have much to say, but I just want to thank those who voiced their concerns regarding the omission of myself in the article today. I spoke out against privatization, but I don't necessarily think that just because I spoke out, I shouldn't be included in talks with, regarding the situation. But I can't explain why that was done, and, it's okay. Well, I'm a big girl. I can handle it. It's okay. Thank you so much. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming out.
I just want to point out a couple of things that were brought up before about giving money away, and Brian's going to back me up on some of these numbers. I have some of them, but not all of them. We're going to talk about 18 East Camden, which is the Mauritanian Field Club. that building was paying $56,000 a year in taxes, if I'm not mistaken, per year. Per year. Now, yes, they're getting a 30-year pilot, but I need people to understand what a pilot means. Doesn't mean they don't pay taxes for 30 years, because that's what was being represented out there. It's not even close. The first year, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to go from $56,000 a year in taxes to $703,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
$703,000 a year in taxes.
If not more.
Percentage-wise, that's like, you know, a huge increase. These are revenues that directly beef up our economy. It's going to create, you know, hundreds and hundreds of job opportunities. It's going to be up to local residents to go out there and go after these jobs. I'll speak about 240 Main Street, the Meridia project, who also did 94 State Street. It's 106 units. And by the way, $70 million invested in the city in 18 East Camden. 240 is 106 units. How many?
Yeah, 106 at 240, plus retail.
Right. So that was paying what in taxes?
Zero.
And what is it going to pay now?
It'll be in year one, at least $230,000.
So you go from zero in taxes to 200 and what?
230.
230 the first
That's
year.
after
And it goes up.
679,000 in fees.
And it goes up.
Yes,
And it
every
goes up.
year, every year it'll increase. Same
All
with
right?
18 East.
Until at 30 years, it maxes out to what it would be paying in normal taxes. All right? Now people say, well, why don't you just charge them normal taxes to begin with? Well, if you did that, they wouldn't be here, believe me. Hasn't happened in 30 years, wouldn't happen for 30,000 more, all right? Jersey City has 150 pilot programs. Steve Fulop, the mayor in Jersey City, is tearing up the city down there, doing a wonderful job rebuilding it. And he's rebuilding it because of pilots, all right? So to say they're giving away anything is such a misconception. The numbers don't lie. I mean, the investment, the amount of jobs, 56,000 to 703,000. You know, 0 to 130,000. I mean, these are real numbers. So, you know, it's when you work hard at trying to do this stuff, and people come up and say, "Oh, you're giving the city away." You know, it's it's just not fair. So, I really want to thank the Main Street Alliance, people that were there. I know a lot of people don't like them in here, but I think you're making a big mistake, because they're a great thing for the city, is to have a special interest district that's so involved and works so hard as this group does. I was disappointed. Some people said disparaging remarks about them when they're gone, but would never say it to them when they were here. One of the things that really caught my eye tonight that we passed was this Veterans Treatment Court. You know, I've been a big proponent of our veterans, our disabled veterans, especially our homeless veterans. And those types of veterans fit right into what this is for. You take people with some of the issues they have, such as post-traumatic stress syndrome, and send them into a regular courtroom. And it's hard on them. And they just don't understand. And this actually takes them and you know, kind of guides them through the system if they have some issues. Soon to be opening is, the grand opening is a splash park at Carver Park. By the end of the month?
July 11th.
July 11th is the projected date, and there'll be a grand opening for that. And kids will be able to use it right away. I know the one over on Polyfly is used, it's always very busy. This Friday night at 6 o'clock, a very special thing happens in Hackensack, and I would recommend anybody to get over there that can, is the memorial for the firemen over at the park, Memorial Park at Temple in Maine. I think it was 26 years ago, we lost 5 of our firefighters in a horrific fire at the Ford building on River Street. And we should never forget, and we should go pay homage to those people. The abatements for the school, was Mr. Stein still here? Well, absolutely, we will meet with you on that. We had talks with Mrs. Lewis with that, and we're glad to set it up. Our goal is not to hurt the schools, our goal is to work with the schools, all right? So that's a promise from me. Zabriskie Street property, I I understand what you're saying with that, but the developer that buys that, we can't really restrict and tell him that he has to build commercial versus multifamily, because it's a zoning, it's allowed that way. Understand it would, everybody wants to have what they want there, but he's totally within his rights to put up residential properties, and that property may never have sold if there were restrictions on it like that, and therefore you would be looking at that eyesore of a county DPW forever. But I do agree with the traffic issues on that. It will be addressed. There'll be some changes in the traffic over there, and streetscapes, and there'll be a special walkway, from what I understand, going towards the train station on the eastbound side of what would be Kinderkamak Road. Somebody brought up again, misconception, Teaneck and Hackensack. Teaneck does have privatized sanitation, but it's totally different than what would be happening in Hackensack. Teaneck, the homeowner himself contracts with a contractor, a hauler, and they pay them themselves out of their own pocket. It's not included in their taxes. Whereas if Hackensack were to do this, it would be paid out of your taxes just like it is now. So it's a totally different system over there. Is Mr. Magby still here? I don't see him, so I'm not going to answer him. Again, somebody said something about being out of work.
You asking for me?
No, Mr. Magby.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Somebody talked, I think Mr. Coley talked about the men going to the new company. There's no intention of any men going to the new company. Like we said, there's no intention of anybody losing their job. That's a promise from us. And it's a matter of refiguring and restructuring if you were to do it DPW. There's savings to be made by doing this, such as we pay tremendous amount of overtime for snow removal. We pay a tremendous amount of overtime at the peak of leaf season. If you have more men involved, you're saving on overtime by having more regular workers during the daytime than having guys work later and having to work overtime. That's one of the savings. The other big savings is workers' comp. I mean, you're taking the hardest job of sanitation, all right, and privatizing that part, so our guys aren't getting hurt. Somebody else's guys are getting hurt, but none of our guys would go with the other company. That's out off the table. The object here is to keep everybody in the city working. What else did I have? Oh, 4th of July, right? There's festivities down there all day. I think the fire department versus police department softball game, which can get pretty brutal, but it's always fun to watch, is at like 10 or 11 o'clock.
The flea market.
The flea market is a good part of the day, from like 12 to right up to when the band starts. Band starts at 7:30, and there's lots of food. They have a lot of food vendors there. And at 7:30, you watch the Infernos for about 2 hours. Then you turn your chair around and watch the fireworks at 9:30. So it's a great night out in Hackensack. It's always been. And the concern that was brought up by Chris Coley is a valid concern. We'd have to work something out for the 4th of July if that building were to go up. So, but, that's something that we can solve, I'm sure. And with that, I would close. Yes?
I forgot, Dave wanted to say that if work wants to use the water park,
Yes?
they have to register at the recreation.
Oh, they have to okay. Good point. Ms. Keeling, said, anybody who wants to use the water park has to register at the recreation department?
The new water park.
The new water park. You need to register if you want to get down there and use that, so that's important. And with that, I need a motion to close the meeting.
Offer.
Roll call.
Councilmember Pataglia is absent. Deputy Mayor Canestrino?
Aye.
Councilmember Sims left. Councilmember Keeling Geddes?
Aye.
Mayor LaBrus?
Aye. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Appreciate it. Did I speak with her?
Hey, see ya.